Street Fighters, naked sport bikes, whatever you want to call them. It's one of our favorite classes of motorcycles at Motorcycle.com. Triumph Street Speed Triple R, haven't tested that in a shootout. Aprilia's Tuono RR, haven't put that in a shootout. Yamaha's FZ-10, haven't put that in a shootout. And here's EBR's 1190 SX, hasn't been a shootout with these bikes, and it might be the only shootout you'll see with this against those bikes. We love the Street Fighters, now we gotta go ride them. So here we are. It's basically the FZ-10, right? That's kind of knocked the class for a bit of a loop. But the EBR, now that it's reduced price down to $13,000, right with the FZ-10, the class is just amazing right now, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, for 13, this makes this bike, affordable, whereas before you kind of had to grit your teeth a little bit because, it lacks some things in comparison to some of the other models that are out there. But at this price point, the EBR is definitely a contender with these other motorcycles.
And what's really cool is we got 4 different engine configurations, right? 2 4-cylinders on the end, but one's a cross-plane inline 4, and this is the V4. And I'm not sure which one I like the sound of better. I love both of them, and I'm normally a triple guy, and this thing sounds great too. And of course a V-twin in the EBR, which has got its own personality and character. And we have Italy, England, America, and Japan. We've got like a world shootout here as well.
So it's fitting the Asian guys on the Asian bike, right? Anyway, this Yamaha blew the doors open as far as where Japan is in the naked Street Fighter field. I mean, the Z-1000, Kawasaki, and the old FZ-1 Yamaha, and then Honda doesn't really have anything you could really put in this field. And then there's a Gixxis 1000. They're all good bikes, but they don't hold a candle to, say, the Aprilia. But this FZ-10, I said at the launch, would give the Aprilia a fight, and that's the reason why we're here. And then having the EBR and the Triumph here too is just kind of a extra bonus that makes this really, really special.
I think along with Japanese bikes, what they could be accused of a lot of times is being the most practical ones out there too. And I would have to go along with saying that with the FZ, and that it's got the most streetable riding position. It's got cruise control. It still has awesome engine performance. Suspension's good, brakes are good. But is it as emotional as the Aprilia down here, our kind of long-term favorite, it in the RSV with its V4 engine? I'm not sure, kind of.
Well, I think that's where Japan has got it right with the FZ-10. Is I think that thing has character in spades that something like a Gixxis 1000 just can't compete with. That motor is really cool. Yamaha's done a perfect job with the traction control, letting you do wheelies and yet still not allowing you to flip over backwards, which nobody likes that. And yeah, I think that thing holds its head high in this class of other European semi-exotics. I think that FZ-10 is a great bike.
I think it's the best that Japan has brought to the table so far.
For a street fighter, yeah,
absolutely.
For sure.
We got the cross-plane crankshaft in this thing, so even for a 4-cylinder, it's got that really sweet noise that comes out of it. The engine character out of this triple, man, I really like that. It's just got a ton of bottom end. Doing some of the tighter canyon stuff out here today, you can just roll into thick of that. Phenomenal engine performance, real linear, a lot of in the basement.
How about you, John? How do you think these things shape up for you?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the FZ-10. It's a great motorcycle. Yamaha owed us that real comfortable and cruise control to make up for the R1. But yeah, the FZ-10 is great. Could be totally down with it. Me and Troy rode the EBR against the Super Duke R up here a couple years ago, and I like the EBR as much as it then. It's a little harder edge than the Super Duke, but I love that bike, and for $13,000, I think it's the one I'd buy just because it's got a lot of cool Eric Buell things on it that the other motorcycles don't have. It's got a lot of cool parts. It needs a little fine tuning here and there, but not much. And I think it's the lightest bike here. It's almost as much power as this thing, not quite, but it changes directions real quick, just like his old XBs did. And I love the Triumph too. They're all great motorcycles. How can you pick a favorite one of these?
The Triumph, I think, excels for the Olean suspension, the only one with Oleans, right? Wonderful suspension, and its fit and finish and details. I think this thing looks the best, and everywhere you look on it, there's some nice details on it. Triumph's done a really nice job. But I don't want to ever think that I don't love a Tuono. And that bike with the RR, it's like $3,000 cheaper nearly than the factory version. And it's just lacking the Olin suspension. It's got the Sachs-Marzocchi combo, it works fine. And it's still got that motor, which, I don't know, every time I hear that thing light up, it makes my private parts tingle with it.
I dig the Tuono too, but I think if real serious sport riding, I think I like the Buell a little better. Just different strokes. The Buell feels a little smaller, and
a little uncomfortable on the Buell.
A little bit more it's more compact.
It's like 250 GP measurements,
Yeah,
you know. I mean, it's
pretty compact. It's pretty tight.
It's that, but I mean, you know, the rake and trail figures up front. Not that it's unstable or nervous in any way. It's not. It's rock solid. But I don't get the
feedback.
That makes me confident. Like I was telling Troy, if I came around a corner and there was something in the corner, I think I could deal with it better on one of these other three motorcycles than I could on this one.
Well, I guess if you're a less talented rider.
There you go.
Another cool feature on the EBR, which I like, is that inside-out disc brake. I think for street use, it's as good as any of these brakes here. It does everything you want, and it does not too grabby for my taste. I dig that, and it's more rare than any of these things, right? You see more Tuonos than you'll see EBRs on the road.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it was getting off of the FZ, because the FZ, we said the brakes were good, but it takes a lot of pressure on that front lever to get it to stop really well. You jump off of that onto this thing, and then, you know, you're kind of slamming the front end down. Once you acclimate, you're like, no, the brake is fantastic.
When I think of naked leader class street fighters, I think raw, just pissed off animals of motorcycles. And I think the EBR really captures that character. You hop on it, it's got a couple of vibrations, and that intake growl when you get on it sounds killer. It really captures that essence of the naked street fighter I have in my mind. Not to say the other bikes don't, but it's just so different and so quirky that I really dig it. And it's cool that, you know, you could actually meet Eric Buell and talk to the guy. I mean, that gives me some kind of...
the motorcycle.
I don't know, maybe that has some kind of sentimental value to me that maybe these other ones don't. Yeah. But for me, that kind of adds a couple of points in my book.
And American made.
It's American made. It's just a cool bike.
Well, maybe with the purchase of an EBR, if you got like a 15-minute phone card to Eric Buell.
I actually told Eric this. I said, you know, it's not a very good $18,000 motorcycle, but it's a fantastic $13,000 motorcycle.
These guys, and the Yamaha especially, I think feel really nimble, really willing to turn in, flick it around. These guys take a little more effort.
And Troy, when you say, hey, this one's a little more hardcore, that's a little bit of a juxtaposition next to the Speed Triple, because the Speed Triple used to be like the hooligan bike. And now in this company, it's a really classy debonair bike. It's a really smooth throttle response. I could imagine putting my lady on back and giving a nice two-up ride because the throttle is so nicely tuned. And yeah, it just looks great. But boy, that motor on that one, and the lightness of that one, and the comfort on that.
Well, for the Aprilia Tuona, it's got that, you know, the magic chassis. I always talk about that. Just, man, well, whether it's the RSV or this guy, like, again, riding out here on some of the the canyon road where there's some gravel or something in it, man, I could just stand that thing up, put it where I want in the corner if there was some dirt in it, and then swoop right back in, and it's just fantastic.
So what's going to win?
Don't know.
I don't know.
Like I said, that's to me the most practical. If you have one bike in your garage, this is the winner in my head. From there, it gets a little tougher. You start throwing emotion into the game and engine sound and character and handling.
Price.
Yes, price.
For me, if I was going to ride the bike every day, I have to go with the Yamaha because it's every day. But if you have another bike or two to ride most of the time, then I definitely want an ABR.
I could give you a reason to pick any of these 4 bikes.
Yeah,
I mean,
me
I've got
too.
something to love about all of them. And I'm with you, Kevin. I mean, I love that Aprilia. Love it, love it, love it. But hot damn, these other bikes are so good too. If I could only have one motorcycle in the garage, it would be the Yamaha. It just is the best jack of all trades motorcycle. We were ripping up this canyon super fast on this bike. But then with the cruise control, I could set that when I get back on the freeway and cruise home with no issues on my wrist. It's upright, it's comfortable, pretty much be a tourer, put some saddlebags on it.
Speaking
Such a
of
cool bike.
cool cruising home and cooling off, has it got heated grips on that thing?
One option that's missing.
Hey, let's take note that the Tuono is going to be revised again for 2017 with a TFT dash and cruise control. So we're going to have to take these things out again. Another Street Fighter shootout, maybe the racetrack again, new revised Super Duke. God, we got to keep doing these Street Fighter shootouts every couple months.
You might be getting bored of them, but we freaking love them. So
So if you're watching this on YouTube, please go over to Motorcycle.com and see all the other good stuff we got right there for you.